Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Magic Mics, proudly sponsored by CoolStuffInc.com, CardHoarder.com, as well as Alter Sleeves and Twitch subscribers just like yourself. I am Evan Irwin, and we get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, MTG Nerd Girl.
Hey, guys. Welcome back.
And Ruben Bressler.
What's going on?
It's another wonderful day in the neighborhood. Another week's worth of Magic content and updates are here. And let's get to it.
And there's a lot this week. Just like a random...
There's an assortment. There is a smorgasbord.
Yeah.
Now, if you missed the pre-show, subscribers to this channel get access to our NSFW version early, and we'll kick that off with our first pick in our giveaway. Get your chance of $50 worth of anything at CoolStuffInc.com by typing !raffle in the chat, but sub first to get 2 chances to win, and support your favorite streamer with your suggestions at the end of the show to see who we raid when we're finished tonight. And of course, all of that is thanks to our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day. Check them out. The first thing we talk about today was technically Wizards announcement day stuff. And one of the first things they kind of busted was the Phyrexian set is coming. We're going to take a look at Phyrexia. All Will Be One is coming here. They have the All Will Be One symbol. They have the All Will Be One commander, which is now the set symbol in a shield again.
Yeah.
This is a long-term fix that should be good. Don't deviate. We don't need more weird shield thingies. We mean sets and shields. We have a beautiful draft booster box. I love the colors here. I think this is brilliant. And where the tracks are right there. And of course, Elish Norn there on the set boosters, which are awesome.
I don't know why. I do think it's cool. It gives me a little bit like of like Crimson Vow vibes, though.
It does. A lot of red.
A little bit.
A lot of red, a lot of black.
It's got the bone white and the kind of it's like dried blood almost red.
The second one I think feels more Phyrexian to me than the first one, like the draft booster.
Yeah. Well, the display booster, which is coming up, is the one that that's always the one where they let the artist kind of go nuts.
We're talking about the collector booster?
The collector booster, yeah.
Oh, the collector booster is gorgeous.
And I really like that. I like the off-white of this more than of the set booster. I agree with you.
Absolutely. So they also have the bundle here, the Jumpstart booster displays, which again, the Jumpstart packs have basically replaced the intro decks, so they're not very interesting, unfortunately. But they did note that they have here the set code, which for what it's worth, thank you for getting out in front of the set code. We ask about this like every time. The pre-release events on January 27th through February 2nd, the tabletop release on February 3rd will be sweet, and all the other dates are here on screen if you need to look at those up. Now, there's also the pre-release pack, which should be super dope. And they also unveiled the Magic 30th anniversary promos available at pre-release events, this being Core Haven, a Vindicate, which looks to be an Italian Vindicate, Exalted Angel, and Temple of the False God. Let's go.
So the Vindicate is going to be in Italian?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So, to commemorate 2001. Someone maybe in the chat can enlighten us exactly why of all years this was chosen, but okay. Either way, Temple of the False God, definitely a favorite for a lot of people in Core Haven as well. In the old frame,
sneaking up there again in price, I think.
They're celebrating the languages the game was printed in. I'm guessing that Italian showed up first in 2001 is my guess, which would make sense. Cool. Very nice. Now there is a complete bundle. The Bundle Complete Edition, which I've here is on sale right now for about $80. And as to what will be in that, and we have no idea. So
it's on sale right now for a hefty chunk of money. We have no idea what it is, and people are already buying it.
Sure.
The collectibles market, everybody. Nothing makes sense, and it's all upside down.
It'll be some combination of Magic cards. It'll probably be worth $80.
It'll probably be fine as fine goes. Me trying to fix our setup here.
Late January is early for a set, right? That's early in the year. Usually we get it in February, March, I thought.
Yeah, I mean it's come out in February technically, so like that's no big deal otherwise.
No, okay.
Just fine.
That's fair.
I'm digging it. I love Phyrexia. I think Phyrexia is cool. Like, let's go. Like,
I think that we all kind of knew that this writing was on the wall when we had the Nicol Bolas Big Bad arc. That was our Avengers. Then we got the Eldrazi Big Bad kind of... Although the Eldrazi are still on the horizon, we have had the Eldrazi Big Bad recently. And we knew that this was coming because we've had the other Praetors all coming together. It's, Vorinclex and Urabrask and all the rest in order. And now we finally get Elish Norn. What with Sheoldred dominating standard right now. But we're going to have Elish Norn. And this kind of looks just like the old Elish Norn to me. I would be shocked if they actually reprinted 7 mana Grand Cenobite into standard, but
I don't see that happening. But Sheoldred is an absolute house and is very expensive, and so they're not going to want Elish Norn to suck, right?
Yeah.
You're saying you don't think they would reprint that into standard. We did just get Liliana of the Veil. Like, the power creep is the same. They will likely not be the same in standard as they were in the heyday.
I want a different Elish Norn the way I didn't want them to reprint Sheoldred's first version, right? I like seeing cool new versions of awesome characters, right?
I definitely do too. I was only saying that, like, you didn't, the comment of you don't think they would, because it might be too powerful and so on and so forth. But I'm just like, it's kind of like of the Veil realm, right? Like, I think it's within the possibility that they would. Not that I want them to reprint it. I would also like to see a new dope card, but
right. I mean, Liliana of the Veil ripped a lot of band-aids off that they said they would not rip off, much like the 30th anniversary product is things they would never do, right? That said, let's take a look here at the secret lair for Extra Life. Now, Nerd Girl is doing her own bits for Extra Life, which are awesome. And you'll hear about as soon as she can discuss those. But there is a secret lair. They've done one of these before. This one had like Craterhoof Behemoth and Muldrifter and friends. And the last one here, we have a new one. And again, these are children's drawings, and they put the age down there and the artist link. And they have the sort of the magic artist then do their version that has their age there as well, which is great. So Andrea Radek, which former coworker of ours, who's awesome. And she did the Birds of Paradise here, which is awesome. That's always a expensive card. Lathless is a $6 or $7 dragon all the time. And hey, there's a Sliver Legion. There's your $20 plus Mondo combo money's worth putting down and given to charity.
Yeah.
Can I make one note about the first Birds of Paradise art? I love that the artist, the adult artist, went so far as to continue to bow the rainbow, because the rainbow is not a perfect arc. It actually goes out in not correct. I like that they kept that aspect of the children's drawing. It makes me very happy.
That's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like the fact that I got to work with Andrea Radek, and now Andrea Radek is a pretty regular magic artist, is kind of spectacular.
Isn't that terrific?
The lucky things you get to do when you work in magic for a very long time. These are spectacular. I think that this is the best thing to come out of the the secret lair idea. These pieces are the best. And if you recall, last time we also got a Mark Rosewater. So the hidden one in this is gonna maybe be another Mark Rosewater illustrated piece, which would be very funny.
The other ones had a Mark Rosewater card in them?
I thought that was the case. I thought that the hidden card was a Mark Rosewater card.
I don't recall exactly. If someone does recall, please
is that not a
share
thing?
it with us in the chat. I thought that was a
thing. I'm pretty sure that was a thing.
It's all good. Either way, this is I think a terrific package. And, it's also, it always feels like with the Secret Lair Extra Life stuff, there's not that pulled punch, I feel like this wouldn't have had a Birds of Paradise, for example, along with Sliver Legion, if it weren't Extra Life, like they're like, okay, we're good with a little extra value because we really want to make sure these things sell.
Being told that it was a questing Feldegriff.
Oh, there you go.
I have 2. That was the very first one I ever bought. First Secret Lair. I have 2. I never opened them yet, though. So
nice.
I'm excited. I will buy these. Those will be the 3rd Secret Lair I've ever bought between this and the Trevor Project one. So these are fantastic. I always recommend it. I basically wear Extra Life swag all the time. And yeah, if you guys are interested, Wizards of the Coast does a bunch of stuff, and there's a ton of content creators doing Extra Life things. Degens are as well. And I also know like Fire Shoes on Twitter is a pretty known regular person who does some really cool stuff where every donation to his thing, you can pick a card and put in his deck that he will take to a tournament, which is really fun. And he makes like the weird, like funky hippo deck or whatever for charity every year. So make sure you guys, if you're interested in getting involved in Extra Life outside of this, just check the Magic community. It's everywhere.
Nice. There
Absolutely.
you go.
And Wizards, we are here for the Make Plushies of the Child Illustrated Cards Committee. Now, this is a important plea. You didn't let us have the Muldrifter last time. What is the cutest of the list this time? What do we have? They aren't particularly
the
cute.
birds are cute. The Lathless,
say.
I think, is adorable. Like
we could get a Lathless plushie. I think that'd be fine. Everybody likes Little Dragon plushie.
the Taylor.
None of them are as
Taylor
cute as the
Jacobson.
Muldrifter plushie wise. They're all great.
I mean,
but
that's
none of them I don't think
Legion.
make
Agreed.
as good of a plushie.
That Sliver Legion's very cute.
That's Sliver Legion with like the button eyes.
Button
and that
eyes,
little,
yeah, that'd be so cute.
Yeah.
The little like stabby arm thing, like that's kind of adorable.
Yeah,
Like I'm trying.
If we
Trying to
could
think
get
of
this
how much
Sliver
money
Legion,
I
that'd be
would have
great.
given them for the Muldrifter plushie. Like
The number
it's a
does not
lot.
exist.
it's a lot.
Number does not exist. Well, there you go. But again, I think these are a terrific deal, and if you can afford it, not only does it help, charity, it gives you some sweet cards that you can either play with or stick in the closet, and they'll be worth more money later. As I've been popping on the screen here, Wizards did also discuss Jumpstart 2022. Now, the Jumpstart standard stuff is like not great, and it's kind of understood now. It's not really gonna excite a lot of people. It's gonna get you into the game. It's gonna have people at the game store who are like, hey, what's going on with Magic and Magic Limited? You go buy 2 of these packs, shuffle up and see how it feels. But if we're gonna go to Jumpstart, like for real Jumpstart, the Jumpstart that has the expensive mythic rares in it, well, we're going to go back to that well, as it were. And they unveiled a few of those today. And again, my assumption is, feel free to correct me so I can get it right, is that these will be on Arena as well as a paper release. And so the first one of the things we'll look at here is Isu, the Abominable. Yep. 2 blue.
Like Isu, considering.
Isu, I like it. 2 blue, 3 generic mana for a 5/5 mythic legendary snow creature Yeti. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may play snow lands and cast snow spells from the top of your library. And whenever another snow permanent enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay green, white, or blue. And if you do, you put a +1/+1 counter on Isu, the Abominable.
I just like that they made an abominable snow person.
Snow Yeti.
That's very cute.
I like this snow mechanic as well. Like in general.
Yeah. And a very powerful card. And I like that we have a Bant Snow General. The other Snow General that we have is Bug, Sultai, Dorn, I think.
Jorn sounds right.
But that doesn't let you play a couple of the white snow cards that people seem to really enjoy, including Search for Glory, which specifically is for snow decks, and Diamond Fairy, which is the Bant the Bant Lord I was trying to think of earlier. But it looks like there's only currently 10 white snow cards. I thought there'd be more, but several of them are very popular, and so I'm glad that we get a new general to choose from.
Yeah, you got to be real careful when it comes to snow stuff, because snow and snow lands are kind of the closest they've ever came to making a better basic land. You know what I mean? For it to be like, well, I should always play Snow Forest instead of Forest because of all these other, benefits. And so having just enough snow hate and or anti-snow stuff so where you just don't auto snow everything, I think is important. But for this seems
not Rafine. What is the angel? The 2/3 makes your snowlands come into play tapped. Like she's good. Rafine's the one for
you're
it.
right. Redain.
Yeah, that girl.
So she's good enough on her own, regardless. You're not like, you don't have to side her in.
Right.
But she was just enough to where it's like, I would rather not run the snow shot. Like at one point I was like, well, the Frostbite is a better shock, but it's not worth it against the Redanes. So it kind of was a balancing act.
Right. And so that's kind of where I think you want to be, is that it's playable. You're going to main deck it and it doesn't feel bad. But when you get the snow deck with it, you're like, oh, got him. You got greedy and you punished him. The next card up here is Kiki Jiki Mirror Breaker, directly from what, 2004, 2005?
Sure.
Jesus. Kiki Jiki Mirror Breaker, if you don't know, is 3 red, 2 generic mana for a 2/2 mythic legendary goblin shaman with haste. And you have tap, create a token that's a copy of target non-legendary creature you control, except it has haste, sacrifice at the beginning of the next end step. This, to me, the most exciting thing is that, oh my god, Kiki Jiki is coming to Historic in Arena, and that's going to be dope.
Okay.
This going in my goblin deck? Oh, yeah. Let's go.
I mean, that's very cute.
I mean, I want to
deck, but I assume it's just going to go infinite with something.
With something, I don't know what, but
like, is Felidar Guardian still legal? That's a card that exists. I assume
is Guardian in there. Resto's in there. I thought
that card got banned really quickly.
I thought Saheeli got banned. Is Felidar Guardian not the one that got banned?
Maybe. Maybe it was just the combo. I just forgot.
Right, Restoration Angel still exists. So
yeah, Resto Angel combos with it.
Yeah, that's a fine combo there. And want to see a neat trick? It does turn out that the LRR folks also got to work on the flavor text for Jumpstart.
Nice.
So yeah, Graham noted he wrote this line, and I was like,
very cool.
Great. Very nice.
Also, like a lot of new people from Arena, like Arena babies, they don't have as much like a fond memory for Kiki Jiki or any memory, even if it's like, PTSD. But now we've got Fable of the Mirror Breaker.
Yeah.
And people are now very hyped on this character. So it doesn't surprise me that they're kind of, trying to cash in on that and bringing this back. It's pretty cool.
Yes. Now, Evan, you might know this, but I have some deep Kamigawa lore for you. The city of Oboro, the palace in the clouds, only let moonfolk in.
Right.
Only 3 people who were not merfolk ever got into Oboro, and Kiki Jiki was one of them because he snuck in. Because he's a little jerk like that.
Huh. The other 2 are probably the fox.
One of them was invited, and another one also snuck in. I forget who. I think that Sakashima snuck in.
Okay.
And
I read that book. I can't remember exactly.
Someone else got in, but was invited.
There you go. So Kiki Jiki, fantastic card. I'm excited to play with it some more, as usual. Lastly, here for the anime lovers and all of us is a Cold Steel Heart. For the weebs, we have you.
What a wild piece of art.
It's gorgeous. For 2 generic mana, it's an uncommon snow artifact. It enters the battlefield tapped. As it enters the battlefield, you choose a color, and it taps at 1 mana of the chosen color. One of those cards that it's just a beautiful, perfect design. It's snow, so it's got the snow benefits. It's a mana rock, but you can't use it immediately, and it fits right in the curve where you want it to go, and I love it.
Now, this is already on Arena, right?
I think so.
Cold Steel Heart is on Arena, yes.
So I'm thinking part of the reason we have new art here is I'm hoping Arena is at least trying to mix up the reprints with some new art, because that was one of my major gripes with the Jumpstart. Is the first time it came to Arena, half the set was just the last core set. And the same art, same everything, including the rares. So I was getting like an 8th copy of the Wind Rider Sphinx
and like Fabled Passage,
things like that.
I think was in there, and
that was like the 3rd printing of Fabled Passage on Arena.
Yes,
in 1 year's period. So I'm hoping if they are going to keep doing some reprints like this, they start giving us very unique art, so we have some reason to not hate them.
Yeah, it better be worth it, because Thalia had that same problem where she was printed again in like Crimson Vow, but I got like that cool style of the black and white picture of her, but you can't use all 4. Even if you have 4 of another kind, you have to have 4 of that specific rare from Crimson Vow.
Now, this artist, J-I-A, with a star in the name, apparently does a lot of art for Vanguard and for Bushiroad, which is another sort of anime manga situation. But this is their first piece for Magic.
Nice.
I don't know almost anything about this artist other than what I've literally just looked up. So I would be interested to know if they have a following.
Well, I'd also note that...
But it's a very cool piece of art.
Right. Wizards sells a lot of Magic cards in Japan. And I mean like a lot. A lot. So whenever you see things like the War of the Spark having the special Japanese editions and these like Japanese sort of themed artworks and things, that to me just sort of feeds into that. It was just like, man, America is a market, no doubt about it, but Japan is also a gigantic market for Magic cards. So anything they can use to appeal, right? So that's cool. So let's move out of here to the first pick to gather the townsfolk. Thanks to our sponsor, cardhoarder.com, offering the best inventory prices and delivery of cards for Magic Online. All right. So some fun additions over the past week. I am extremely happy to report a couple things. One, Surveil becomes Deciduous, which means it can be used in basically any set. It's also going to go back, and so Consider is now going to be Surveil 1, which is great. Disinformation campaign got like 5,000 times better.
Which is just going to say.
Which is also awesome, because I have like 4 foils back here for no reason whatsoever. And yeah, which is great. And also Landfall is going to be Deciduous, as it should be, because it's a brilliant mechanic.
I like Landfall.
Yeah, both of these make perfect sense. The fact that they printed cards that had the rules text of Surveil and the rules text of Landfall that didn't have the ability words Surveil and Landfall always kind of bothered me. They've edited cards like Opt to, instead of just reading out the text of what Scry does, to just say Scry 1, draw a card.
Right.
So now Consider says this. Doesn't Search for as Canta say this now, I would assume?
That sounds about right.
There's I'm sure there's a bunch that are getting updated, and Landfall as well. There've been several cards that didn't have Landfall but had Landfall printed recently. Now we can do Metalcraft. Now we should just do Metalcraft, because that's an ability on multiple cards. Toolcraft Exemplar and Inventor's Fair both have Metalcraft, but don't have Metalcraft for no explicable reason. So hopefully this is a sign of things to come. Cards like Disinformation Campaign. There's another Scry. There's like, whenever you would Surveil, you instead Surveil that much +2 or something.
I know, like the Spy Bug gets bigger whenever you Surveil. That's a thing.
That's another good one.
Right.
Yep. So there's a bunch of cool interactions like that with Surveil specifically.
Yeah, and they're keywords, not ability words. I don't know exactly the right rules terminology, but the point is Landfall Dash, a Landfall ability, is going to be on cards, and Surveil X is going to, Grim Flayer is going to Surveil 3 or whatever, which I think is fantastic.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant. And I love that stuff. I love the idea. And also the explanation of saying, like, look, vocabulary is something they are concerned about. And I agree. And some games like the Versus 2-player card game, if you go there, my God, it is keyword soup. And the worst part is they don't explain any of them. Like Wizards doesn't have that problem. Like Magic cards often explain the mechanics that are on them, unless they're very like expensive or rare versions of those cards. Like the Mythic foils or whatever don't have the keywords explained, but the booster fun versions do. And they said, hey, new players are primarily being introduced through multiplayer, where more people are helping them, or digital, where there's tutorials and like digital tools that show you how stuff works.
Tireless Tracker is the one I was thinking of. Just randomly doesn't have Landfall. It just has the ability of Landfall.
And I hate it.
Yeah. Well, now they can print it. They can reprint it and have the word Landfall on it.
There you go. Quick shout out to a community member here, to Jim Davis. Jim Davis MTG, also sponsored by CoolStuffInc.com. Had a little baby boy, Cassian James Davis, showed up, which I thought was awesome. Congratulations to him and his family.
Yeah, congrats.
A lot of new babies recently, right? Alias.
Yeah.
A lot of Magic babies coming around.
So many babies.
Now, the name Cassian makes me think that this is a Star Wars baby.
That sounds about right. I've seen Aurelias and Lilianas and Jaces, throughout the years.
That's true.
Which is great. So congrats to them, and obviously hope they have a fantastic time with the new babies. Always a lot of fun. Let's see here. We're going to move on here to Desperate Ravings. Check out our altar sleeves. Support the show by using the code MagicMikes at checkout for 5% off anything in the store, including a set of exclusive sleeves featuring the Magic Mikes crew at altersleeves.com/MagicMikes. All right. So this week, Wizards, Hasbro, technically, had a bit of a rough third quarter. The revenues were down about 15%, and their operating profit was down 47%, which is a lot. Do note, in the middle of all this is where they bumped the prices 13% across the board. And that's a lot of bump. And so one of the explanations was price sensitivity. And the consumer is price sensitive. I think it's the fact that you jacked your prices and you've released a bajillion products and they're not always as good as the ones that were out previously. Here we kind of are.
Right. I think that both of those are reasons for why this could happen. Obviously, I'm not an economist. But it is easy for me, an armchair economist of the Magic variety, to look at this news and say, well, clearly the reason is directly related to an announcement you made a week ago, and also due to a thing I don't like. Right. Sure. I do think that product fatigue definitely plays a role. I think that the number of things that Magic has released leads to some amount of exhaustion. But I don't know that explains stock price going down. Like, the factors that go into stock price boggle my mind. But it is a fact, as reported here on Magic Mics last week, when I said, I was the first person to ever notice this, I'm sure. When we said that the stock price of Hasbro is the lowest that it's been in like 6 years. That, there are lots of factors that go into that. And I don't know what all those factors are, but the fact remains that something is broken, and what they're doing now isn't necessarily fixing it.
Yeah, I think the product fatigue is an interesting thing. So I believe the overall idea when I think of that is not necessarily that people are buying less, because I think overall with more products, we're all buying more, right? There's more things that appeal to more people, and where if they only did 2 items, I'd maybe only buy 1. But if they do 6 items, I maybe buy 2, because there's just more options for me to like stuff. I think the issue is that any individual item is being bought less than if there are only the 2 items. And that means the amount that you have to make before you recoup your costs on your artists and all of the stuff it takes to design and make that product goes down for each one. So that would be my major guess for the product fatigue taking the profits down, is just because you're not recouping your costs and then still selling oodles of extra units, right?
Right. I would say that, first of all, the price bump didn't happen until kind of very late in the quarter. So it's not really going to, bump it enough. And that's partly why they say, despite a down Q3, they expect to have double-digit revenue growth in Q4, because your stuff's more expensive. And even if you don't sell as much, it's bumped by such a rate, it's still going to sell more cash dollar revenue-wise.
They always go up in the fourth quarter because it's gift season.
It's gift season, and they usually bust some late, end of year product that they can do. The 30th anniversary thing, if that sells through 50,000 copies, $1,000 a pop, that's $50 million with an absolutely obscene profit margin that can really help bump up a lot of these projects. And what I sort of noticed when I saw other people sort of comment on was that, this Hasbro's profit is magic. Like, everything else in Hasbro is just puttering along and doing whatever. And it's not like terrible or anything, but it's like they're making their money off Magic the Gathering. And one of the things that came out was there was a chart here, 30 years of Magic products, right? And this kind of made the rounds a day or two ago about how many products and how many sets they released each year as you went about it. And here's what I want you to do, okay? I want you to take a look at this chart, all right? And I want you to flip it horizontally, okay? I want you to flip it, on the long side. And that is the sales of Magic the Gathering over the past 30 years. They've just gone, because the
long
more
side,
they've made...
You mean hamburger style, Evan?
Yeah.
However you want to call it. The point is, if you flip this thing and the 22 is now the tallest part, that's their sales, because the more they've made Magic stuff, the more it's sold. Whether people like it or not, hate it on it or not, doesn't matter. That's the same sales charts. So good, bad, or ugly. That's where we're at.
Yeah, you can say that, and yet here we are, where the stock is not great, right?
I mean, everything's honestly right now. It's kind of a bear market. Like financials aren't doing
also
great.
A huge factor. That's true.
The market in general is not kicking any butt right now. It's kind of like limping along, and everyone's afraid, and everyone's selling, and all this other crap. They also blamed royalty payments for the Universes of Beyond products. So when you have to ship 20-30% to the licensee, that'll cut pretty hard into products.
Did you guys notice that the Warhammer 40K sleeves, you could not use gold or gems? You could only purchase with cash, and that is because of the royalty thing. And the only reason I know that is because they actually made the announcement for the Extra Life sleeves. They were $4.99, and they said that the reason that you cannot buy these for gold or gems, even though gems are the money value currency, is because that money has to then go to the donation. So if you are buying it with the gems with the money that you've already given them, then they have to then eat that out of their pockets for the money that they've already considered to be profit from a previous quarter, basically.
Fascinating.
So anytime they are working with something else, charity or another IP, they have to do it in cash only.
Well, that makes a lot of sense.
Interesting factoid. I like that.
Right. I mean, you don't want to get into the weird, messy, some people paid X for this gem and some people paid Y for this gem. And so how much value to get out of it? Just like, now here's the raw sales and here's your percentage and off we go. Now, if you want to read the tea leaves a little bit, and the fact that over the past week, there was a couple of days over like Amazon Prime sales or whatever they called it at the time, that Amazon kind of lost their mind. And they sold like Crimson Vow collector booster boxes for $50. And I cannot tell you how an unbelievable deal that is. It immediately went back up to 140, 160 plus as soon as they ran out of them. There were fire sales on everything. You get commander decks, especially the commander decks that didn't have any, they had the little packaging, sort of just the cardboard box with the cards in them, and that's it. You get those for like $20. We're talking full blown, Strixhaven commander decks for $20. So these giant sales rocked a lot of people's worlds because they're like, oh my God, Wizards just moved a ton of product through Amazon. And they said something to note here in part of the investor notes and the investor reports, was that Hasbro has inventory problems and more discounts, aka sales are on the way. They say basically that promotions, quote, have become increasingly important in driving product sales, and promotions generally mean cutting the price for a small amount of time so people can buy it at a good deal, and you go from there. So maybe not. But there definitely was a period where we were like, oh my God, have you seen the prices on Amazon?
I did see them. And by the time I got there, the decks were gone, like all of the Secret Lair stuff. I saw it about 4 hours after MTG Goldfish posted it, basically. Saffron Olive.
Right. Yeah.
And then by that time, most of it was gone. So most of the boxes and stuff were still there, which was cool. But I will say, buying from Amazon is still scary. A lot of it's like repackaged and stuff like that, which is a little on the scary side. One of the things I really noticed is I'm very, very, very glad Wizards did not do this and move the product after they announced or before they announced the Meat Hook Massacre ban, because it was mostly the Midnight Hunt that was on sale for the biggest deal. If they had done that and then banned it the next week, I would have been tilted.
The tinfoil hat would have been firmly on.
That would have been not.
And that would have not been cool. So,
So let me cut to the bottom of the page here. If someone is listening to this podcast and is either makes their living or makes part of their living buying, selling, trading, and bartering Magic cards, is it worth the time, energy, and effort to put an alert? I don't even know how this would work with your Amazon account, but to make some sort of bot, I guess, or to just go to Amazon every 12 hours.
No, there's third-party like plugins you can use for your browser to like ping pages to see if they've changed, for example.
Okay.
And lots of people do that for like to get PS5s and to get graphics cards and whatever it happens to be that's hard to get on the internet. There's tools out there if you want to try to monitor this stuff. But I think the real thing was that sale was unlike anything anyone had ever seen before. And B, based on the verbiage that they were using, could be something they continue to do in the future. Right.
So if it's something that's possible to happen again in the future, it would be worth it. It would behoove the actual whoever is the collectors to monitor this.
But as Nerd Girl noted, it's
also Amazon.
You're kind of Wild West out there. You get stuff from Cool Stuff Inc. It's going to be the real deal. I've seen some people get some stuff from Amazon that's been cut open, repacked, whatever, and it's being really gross. And sometimes it's really hard to get your money back or to get a return because they don't know, how Magic cards work.
That's the thing, too, that upsets me about it as well, is even if you do get your money back, the seller who did it does not get punished. Because the way it works is you send all your stuff and then Amazon just kind of throws it all into one big tub of that type of box. And then they just sell it to you based on who had what come in when, but it's all from the same box. So there's really no incentive for sellers to not to do it because they can't really get in trouble, if that makes sense.
It's very difficult to basically find that out and hone down that. So some of the things like when there was like some random, like some dude who I don't like because they were selling like the wrapper, the Wizard of the Coast plastic wrapper you could, blow hair dry on your box and whatever. These people are terrible. But they do treat Magic cards like shoes. You know what I mean? Like they're all the same size and they're all the same kind. Like in the bucket they go. But that's not how collectibles work. This is not in the doc, and I don't even know how it would be in the doc, but I did want to mention something that a very well-known collector and reseller named Dan Bach, if you've been around Magic at all, you know who Dan Bach is. He's been around for literally 30 years. He made an interesting post on his Facebook having to do with the Brothers' War and the way that cards are being released with the Brothers' War. And if you'll indulge me for just a second, I wanted to say what he wrote, and this is directly quoted from him. In the past 10 to 15 years, WotC's done a lot to expand the brand. Unfortunately for local game stores, many of those games have come via selling on Amazon, Walmart, and Target, while also giving them a better price, while also allowing them to sell early. Additionally, they have released sets on Arena, the online version of the game, before stores can actually hold their pre-releases or sell product, thus taking the first play experience away from game stores. With the Brothers' War, they're reversing all of this, allowing LGSs to sell singles early as well as product and aren't releasing it online until 4 days later. Don't think they aren't going to be carefully watching the results. And then he goes on to say, this is the time, everybody, time to go to war, go to your local LGS. And he's not wrong. I mean,
but the Brothers' War, if they're doing this, if they're using this as a bellwether, this is the time to support your LGS so that you can say, yes, this is what we care about as a community. So I wanted to mention that as a fact about the Brothers' War with a little bit of the commentary.
Yeah, it's both. That's definitely 100% true. And it applies to certain stores. And that was something I was actually working on today, because this information is basically percolating and people are kind of understanding what it means and how do you sort of explain it and address it and talk about it to your customers. And so that's the stuff I get to work on.
Great. I hope I didn't break any seal of secrecy.
No, this isn't public information. Like cardmarket.com had an article about it. Like this isn't crazy underground stuff. That said, wanted to note real fast that because I just think this is kind of awesome that the Sadfie brothers, who made some incredible movies called Uncut Gems, another one called Good Time, which is also very good. They're making another film with Adam Sandler in the world of high-end card collecting, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't worry, the joke is about this.
Oh, good. Well, that's great because I wanted this little bit just so I could gush about Uncut Gems, one of the most incredible cinematic experiences I've ever had. If you've I
hate that movie.
I hate
that movie.
Listen, it stressed me the hell out from beginning to end. But I got to tell
That's
you,
why I hate it.
to do that and never let up. If you watch The Shining, you watch the Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, until the middle of the movie, it is one of the most incredibly tense and just gripping movies you've ever seen. And then they get to the hotel room with the scary person in it, and I don't want to ruin it, but whatever. Then it kind of goes down from there. No, Uncut Gems from beginning to end. It's like, you will just be like, what is happening? But it's awesome because they're really good at that. So whatever. All right, there you go.
Yeah. The
Now we get to have a
Safdies
joke about it.
are like, they're very good filmmakers.
They are.
I just can't watch that movie.
I like when Evan gets really excited and his breath starts to shake a little bit. It's very adorable.
I was like,
Good Time, on the other hand, is a great movie.
Good Time
Highly
is a good
recommend.
movie. Right. Good Time. They learned how to kind of work the tension and how to make the thrills happen. And in Uncut Gems, man, they put it to you. They
can't watch
crank
that
it.
movie.
They
It triggers my anxiety.
Oh my God. It's unbelievable how unbelievably sick that movie is. Like, ugh. Like, it gives me just like the heebies, but in a good way.
Yeah.
All right. Let's turn the corner here to the finisher. Now, the filmmaking duo of the Sadfie brothers of Good Time and Uncut Gems that we discussed are in the process of developing a film with Netflix starring Adam Sandler, reportedly set in the world of high-end card collecting. So if you were a script supervisor for this as yet untitled feature, what scenes would you be sure were not cut gems? Ruben, rather?
I hated Uncut Gems. It's the most anxiety-inducing, triggering piece of media I've ever seen. So if this new Safdie Sandler is anything like that, I'm skipping it, which is why I'm excited for this movie to feature Rudy from Alpha Investments, whom I don't watch anyway.
Jeez. Nerd girl?
Man, some daggers in here. Well, magic trading can be cutthroat, competitive, and downright mean sometimes, which is why I'm looking forward to the scene where Adam Sandler's character accidentally trades for a fake dual land in Value Trade, the musical.
It's a musical. We didn't know. Turns out.
I hate musicals.
Oh, well. This summer, you're on the list, and it isn't going to be reserved to Adam Sandler and, of course, The Professor starring Tulare Community College, the movie. Tickets on sale soon, and then never again until 30 years later for their anniversary edition. But it's not a real movie at that point. It's like a facsimile.
Right. It's like somebody took a video camera of the movie,
and you watch that, and you're happy with that. Okay, cool.
I do want to clarify one thing. I don't actually hate musicals. I hate musical episodes.
Oh.
Interesting.
Like, I'll watch a whole musical, right?
Right.
Okay.
But like musical episodes?
Right, but if it's the musical episode of like Buffy, that's not your speed.
Can't handle it?
No.
Or,
They're always terrible and they're cringy and awful.
I'm trying to think of other TV shows that had musical episodes. Didn't Community have a musical episode?
They all do one.
Sometimes they do.
Every show does.
And sometimes it's like what they do. Like, I could never make it through a Glee. My kids watched Glee a lot, and I was like, I just can't.
Anyway, as soon as I said it, I knew I was going to get a lot of hate for it. I'm like, but wait, I don't actually hate them. So I just wanted to clarify.
How dare you? First of all, how dare you? And that ends another live episode of Magic Mike's. Thanks for joining us here to discuss all things magic. Thank you, Nerd Girl.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you, Ruben.
When's the musical episode of Magic Mike's going to happen? Is that
when the two of you sing and I stay home
and you go away?
The guitar is right over there. I can see
funny.
it's right over there in the corner. All right, let's move on here to that final outro slide. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsors, CardHoarder.com and Alter Sleeves, my co-hosts, MTG Nerd Girl and Ruben Bressler. You guys for watching and listening, and help us support us at Patreon.com/MagicMikes. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online on our Discord, twitch.tv at Magic Mikes, on Twitter at Magic Mikes Cast, our Magic Mikes subreddit, and like the Magic Mikes page on Facebook. Or join us here next week, same time, same place, for another episode of Magic Mikes. Good night, everybody.